Hi everybody, this is Nikki again, and I'm here to do a quick video with some thoughts, no medical advice, some thoughts on the updated transmitter from the 670G. I've been talking to my group a little bit kind of about what their thoughts are, and it was pretty much a mixed results kind of thing, which is not surprising. But the big issues were, one, the BG required loop, and if you've ever experienced it, you know exactly what it is. It's where you put in a number for whatever reason and it turns around and says BG required. So then you give it a BG and then it says, do you want to calibrate? And then you give it a, say yes, and then it tells you, no, you can't. Right? And it's like a mind game that you cannot win. So it was really quite something, and I think it really resulted in some behind closed door raging. In my house it did, but anyway, so that was what it was with the old transmitter. So the question was, has that been resolved? Has calibrating gotten any easier? Because there's never been harder calibrating, I don't think, other than what was on the 670G. The calibrating was really difficult. It required a math degree, anyways, it was very difficult. And it was incredibly temperamental, and you had to kind of play into what it wanted to hear. And if you didn't tell it what it wanted to hear, then it wouldn't take the calibration. And there was the big question: is, well, why am I doing this if all I can do is lie to you? Why am I doing this? So BG required loop, or calibration's easier. Can you get into auto mode for those of you who want it in? Could you get in easier? Would you be kicked out as easily? These are like the main questions going into the new transmitter. So in general, the way I felt about it was that, and also the lag, and that's what I was gonna say. In general, my experience with the old transmitter, starting from July of 2016 or 17, whatever it was that I did really fine. I understood the rules. I understood the 35% and the calibration factor and everything else. So I actually had few problems getting my thing to calibrate. I had few problems getting into auto mode. My main problems were with what happened when I was in auto mode and with the suspends, and that had to do with the lag. So I never really had much problems. So I didn't really care whether or not the new transmitter fixed those problems, because those weren't my problems. What I wanted was that lag, and I wanted to see whether or not the lag had been affected, because that would be big news to me. So again, mixed results from my group. People are kind of saying, oh yeah, definitely no more BG required loop. With that, I agree. I think they completely did away with that, so that's really cool. And then the next one was way easier calibrations, and people are now afraid to calibrate. And what I have realized over the last week of carrying my 670G not attached, is that it's back to feeling like it's up to you when you're going to calibrate, rather than, okay, is now a good time? It was 100% walking on eggshells, and now it's kind of like, okay, I would like to calibrate this right now, so I'm going to. And there's almost no need for a calculator, and maybe no need at all. I'm not sure yet. So that's a big improvement. As far as getting in and out of auto mode, I am running auto mode, which is a little bit tricky, but I'm running it, and I haven't had any problems going in and out. What I did notice was that over about 3 or 4 days, and then it stopped, so I'm not really sure why, I did notice that there were an enormous amount of BG requireds, but it wasn't the loop. And in fact, I didn't give it a single number that it didn't like. They were all legitimate numbers, but it used to be that a legitimate number, caused a problem. So here it was, I'm getting all these BG requireds, and I noticed that I was getting them at a time of a rapidly changing blood sugar. And I think that was probably because of that calibration factor then with the old transmitter, that's when people would try to calibrate or try to put in a number, and the calibration factor would just be too high. So I feel like they swapped out the rule for just like a checking in. So they're saying, okay, you're starting to move right now, so let's just go ahead and ask for like a preemptive BG required, and then you give it to them and it's good, and you go right back into auto, or whatever it is. Like, it's easy enough. However, it did mean doing, for 3 days, it did mean doing 8 finger sticks a day just to put that number in. And I'm not opposed to BG. I mean, I'm not opposed to finger sticks, but but it was interesting. It was an awful lot of feeding the pump numbers. However, the pump was very appreciative and didn't give me a hard time, so that was kind of cool. Um, okay, so I put on the new transmitter. First 4 or 5 days, there was nothing in my package that told me how to handle charging the transmitter, so I did not charge it. I put it on the charger for all of 10 minutes or 15 minutes, put it on my body, and took off with it. 5 days in, and that's the kind of, I had pretty bad lag for 5 days, lots of BG requireds for 5 days, and then 5 days in, I got my first notification ever saying you need to charge your transmitter. And I've never had that happen before, so I went ahead, I put it on the charger, restarted the sensor, and then for 3 days, it was a stud. I mean, it was like an amazing, absolutely amazing sensor, right in with Dexcom. I mean, they were, it was quite a competition. So I don't know what to make of it. It was looking like the lag had not been affected at all that first 5 days. And then after charging the transmitter, it was a rock star for 3 days. And then it was like it got really tired and it woke up this morning. It was like, I'm done. And it was done, and it was right back to, I'm going to hang out at 45 while you go to 96, and it was right back to business as usual. So I pulled it, and I went ahead and started a new sensor, and I don't know yet what to expect from this one, but I wanted to say something about the updated transmitter because it was all hearsay before. For me, it was all hearsay because I didn't have it, and now I have it, and I've got to say I'm definitely blown away by it. It's way too early to tell what is just a fluke or what just happened to be a great sensor, or why there was BG requireds every 5 minutes for 3 days and then then completely gone. I've got a lot of questions, but I wanted to kind of say what some early impressions were, and I do plan on continuing to wear it at least another couple of sensors and get an idea. But that is it. So if anybody wants to leave a comment, which I know nobody does, about your own experience with the updated transmitter, I would love to hear how it's going for you. And in particular, I'd love to hear how the lag is, looking for you, because I didn't believe it, and that's just how it is. When people first said, yeah, it looks like it's more accurate, I was like, yeah, they're making stuff up, because we're talking about the 670, we're talking about the Guardian. But then I put it on and I had 3 days and I was like, well, my goodness, that thing is more accurate. So I think maybe, and it's hanging in there right now. We're 2 hours in. It's a little early to, it's hanging in there. So anyway, thanks for watching and I hope you have a great evening. Bye.